Great. Can everyone hear me? Great. Okay. Hi, my name is Kevin Chen. I'm a co-founder at italki.com, and I'm just wanted to, I guess, continue on with some of the thoughts that we've already, people have already been talking about in terms of communities and for crowdsourcing. Um, I'll try and speak a little bit louder. Just to give you again a very short background on italki. For those of you who don't know about us, we like to call ourselves a language learning social network and a marketplace. And just in terms of our background, we are a very small team. We are a Hong Kong company based in Shanghai, China. And we launched at the end of 2006. So just to give you kind of a sense of where we're coming from. I think one of the reasons why Kirsten picked us to present on the communities and crowdsourcing topic is that probably more than most sites, italki really depends entirely on its community. I think Busu's proprietary content is great. We don't have that. We don't have proprietary services that we sell. And in that respect, I guess you could say that italki is much more of a platform. It's something that, basically the value in italki is really entirely from the community. So why language learning, especially if we don't have something that's proprietary? My co-founder Yongyue and myself, this came from our experience actually as language students. Yongyue was actually learning English. I was actually learning Chinese. And in our own experiences, we found that, of course, as all of you know as language teachers, that it's really not a typical subject. It's much more than just about language knowledge transfer. I mean, it takes things like practice. It has a skill element to it that is a little bit similar to like playing an instrument. Language learning is also about communication, and it's not something you can just do alone with a book or at a CD at home. So I guess what part we were looking at in terms of why a social network, why we thought the internet would actually play a crucial role in for example, for foreign language learning is that, there is the problem of distance, and that is access to teachers, that's opportunities to practice learning a language, and it's also why I think that, there's such a focus on study abroad or immersion programs. And very related to that, I think, is the problem of costs. And especially being based in China, we're sensitive to, what language learning is like outside of the developed world. And in that respect, cost of distribution and labor costs are very different. So, why an internet-based community? I think when we launched italki at the end of 2006, what we found was that, if you looked at just the people who were willing to join and just offer their time and just to share their knowledge, we thought it was very impressive. And, being based as a, internet community, you could really overcome a lot of these problems of distance. You could connect a lot of these, what would normally be disparate economies. And we thought that there's just a lot of value in that. And what italki, I guess, plays a role in that is that we are the platform. Our role is to help people connect. It's to help people express their needs and to make it easy for members of the community to step forward and fulfill those needs. And just to kind of, compare with other social networks, I think it is different. A language learning social network, I think, has a very different dynamic from, something like Facebook, where you're adding on people you already know, you're adding on people that, that you already have a relationship with. For something like a language learning network, we see that it's actually you're adding on people with complementary skills. This is a community that you're not normally attached to. So in terms of community features and crowdsourcing, I think we're trying to break these down into roughly two different ways of looking at it. Language exchange, I think Bernardo already explained fairly well. It's the ability to even just practice or just to get help from someone who has a complementary skill set to you. But for a more community sort of basis, there is an element of just posting something that you need, whether that is something that you need corrected for translation or just a question you have about a culture or a language, and having someone step out from the community to actually answer that. And of course, things like groups, just allowing people to associate themselves and to learn that way. And how helpful is it? I think that there's a lot of skepticism about whether or not a community, especially if they're not professionals, what can they do? And I think that yes, it depends on the users. I think it depends on also the depth and the breadth and the quality of the community, and it depends on how well your platform is structured for getting people to help each other in that way. And so, In terms of keeping the community healthy, I think Bernardo also, listed a bunch of good suggestions. I mean, clearly, as with any community you have, online community, you have the standard problems of having spammers and trolls and, just abuse of typical sorts. But I think what's curious for a language learning community, you also have lots of cultural or international issues. We have users in the Middle East, for example, women who pretend that they are men because they're afraid to actually show themselves, or, that they might run into community problems that way. We have, of course, political problems that seem to pop up. And, one of the more bizarre ones for us, not bizarre, but, we had, what country are you from seems like a very innocent question. But then if you have users from, let's say, Taiwan, and then users from mainland China, and they both seem to disagree on what constitutes a country. In the end, we ended up sidestepping this issue by just saying, where are you from? I mean, I think these types of problems are, something I think that are a little bit more prevalent in international communities. And of course, there's the issue of user balance. Just, give another example from our experience growing up. When we launched shortly after in December 2006, our user base looked pretty much 95% Chinese. And that was great if you happened to be a Westerner learning to learn Chinese. You had all the help in the world you could get. But of course, if you were learning something else, that was actually not great. And we had to work to actually try and build a more balanced community. And that's on the right, you can see what our community looks like now. It's much flatter. And of course, you still have languages and you still have countries where are in higher demand than others. But yeah, we've put some effort into trying to make that more balanced.